Visible?
Yes, sir.
Tell me about first, whether it is true or false.
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 Anyone true? So this is like we can argue actually. So why not first is true? Why not first is false? So this is like theory concept, theoretical concept. So we can argue actually. So anyone who is saying that it is true, or it should be true, or everyone is saying that it is false only.
First one is false.
Okay. What about second one?
True.
True, sir.
True.
Yes, sir. True.
Okay. Anyone who is saying that second one is false? What about third one? The OS uses preemptive scheduling.
True, sir. True.
True.
So which transition is making it true? Tell me the transition.
C.
C.
Okay. See, if I will remove C, so what will happen?
Non-preemptive.
Not preemptive schedule.
Okay. So if any process is coming from the running state, if any process is coming out from the running state, so that comes under the preemptive or non-preemptive?
Preemptive.
So if C I will remove, C if I will remove, so you are saying that it is a non-preemptive. But F is already there, which is taking out any running process out from the running and making it block. So why F is not making it preemptive? Why C is only making it preemptive?
Because in F, the process itself loses CPU by its choice, but in C, it is forced to leave the CPU.
Yes. So everyone try to listen. His answer is correct. So F is its process wants to do input output. It is not being done by the CPU scheduler. Okay. If that process wants to run, it can run. But it's my need that I have to do some input output. This process needs that it has to do some input output. It requires some input output. So definitely it cannot continue further. It cannot run because dependencies are there. So it will come out from the, it is, F is not forcefully, C is forcefully. Forcefully, if something will be forcefully, then it will be decided by either by the, so there should be some mechanism on the basis of that forces will be decided, okay? Because these are the algorithms, so there should be some rules. So to making the C transition only, different rules are there actually. For making the C transition only, there is a time quantum concept, there is a priority concept, whatever the concept you will apply. So from C transition only, there will be different scheduling algorithm will be created. We can create, if you can, we can develop a new mechanism. So we have to decide that what condition we should put to make the transition C. If you can develop, so it will be your new scheduling algorithm. So mainly it will be condition based. Forcefully it will be that process always wish to run, okay? If that process wants to do input output, it will come out from the F transition, okay? It will be in the blocked, and it will after completion of the input output, it will again go to the ready state. When it is ready, anytime it can go to the running state. Depends on which CPU scheduling algorithm is currently applicable. Okay, so first one is definitely false, because making D transition doesn't mean that at the same time A will happen. It may happen, it may not happen. So saying A immediately is wrong. So a process P2 is in blocked state can make transition E while another process P1 is running state. So it may happen. There is no any problem if some process is blocked. So in any time, any number of process can come in the ready queue. Depends on the capacity of ready queue. That is different thing. That is different argument. That here someone can say that if ready queue is full like this, all these things is here we have assumed that ready queue has sufficient space. Okay. So if ready queue is not full, anyone can make the transition E. Whether the process is running or not, it doesn't matter. The OS uses preemptive scheduling. Yes, it is using the preemptive scheduling because of that C transition. So F and C both are actually making any process out of the running state, but C is forcefully, F is not forcefully. Okay, so that is the main thing from here, from this state diagram. So try to this is actually, if this is clear, then preemptive, non-preemptive things are very much clear, and the state diagram is clear that which transition makes. So there is suspended ready, suspended running, suspended block. All this state diagram also you can see in the Galvin book. So extended version of a state diagram is also mentioned, that you can see also there. Okay. So question number 2 is over. So any doubt in the question number 2? Any doubt in the question number 2? Anyone? Any argument from your side? Any doubt? Okay. So here consider three process. That is, so it will here it is written that CPU intensive processes. So here CPU intensive processes means actually process can be if suppose say process P1 has first time CPU time only total time including the CPU and input output time is, let's say 100 milliseconds. So out of that 100 millisecond, that process is busy in doing 90 millisecond input output only. Only 10 minutes only, 10 millisecond only it is taking for its CPU time. So that process will be, we can say that process is means input output bounded process, means it is taking more time in doing input output rather than to do the CPU operations. CPU it is taking very less time for the CPU in the CPU. So it is CPU intensive. That is the term I am saying that what is CPU intensive means. So they have written because in input output time all these things are not given. So it is CPU. It is taking very minimal time output. Okay, they are ready. They are ready. All these things are available for them. They are not. They don't require to go from the running state to blocked state to do their input output. All these things. So here P1, P2, P3 which require 20, 10 and 30 units of time. So arrival time is also mentioned, that is 1, 3 and 7 respectively. Suppose operating system is implementing that is SRTF, that is preemptive SGF. Then you have to find that how many context switch switches are required. So here context switches. So here some condition will be always mentioned in the question, that suppose context switch at the beginning and the end of the ready queue are not counted. So we are not counting that when the process is starting. So in the beginning, some process will start actually. So that is, we are not considering that it is a context switch. In some context switch is, I will explain. I will explain the solution. Then I will explain that what is context switch. Why they are not considering that. Some textbooks consider it. That is why they have mentioned to remove the ambiguity, that don't consider first and last. So after that, tell me the answer of this. So basically in every question, the first step is you have to make the Gantt chart. If Gantt chart is ready, so everything can be answered actually, whatever we are asking. If it can be asked turnaround time, it can be asked throughput, it can be asked find out the average waiting time. Many things can be asked, but it will be answered through the Gantt chart only. So first thing is make the Gantt chart. If Gantt chart is wrong, everything will be definitely wrong. Okay, so make the Gantt chart first, then find out how many context switches are there, find out average waiting time. All these things you calculate for this question.
Sir, 3.
3 context switches. Okay.
3.
Can anyone tell what is context switch?
Switching one process to high step industry.
So why they said that it is a context switch? It should be simply switches. How many switches are there?
The process changes
Save the
its states.
state and load the state also properly. Like all thing must be restored.
So process table, one process table will be maintained for every process. PCB is there. There, if you'll see that some memory will be allocated to that process. A state will be mentioned. Many things will be associated in that is called process table. So actually process table will be actually exchanged or swapped. Okay, state will be changed. So that is called actually context. So that context is actually switching. So that is why in the first one, the context is not swapping actually. There is no another process which is running. The first process is going to run. So that is why some textbook they don't consider that it is a context switch. Switch means if P1 is already running, P1 is coming. So P1's my things will be how much I have run. That information I want to save somewhere, because again I have to continue. So from where I will continue? So I will check that from my process table. I will check that till what statement I have run, I have executed, what is my next instruction to execute, that will be saved in the program counter. So all these things are maintained there. Okay, so that has to be saved actually. So that is called context switch actually. Okay, so Gantt chart. This is simple question. So only the concept here is context switch. So here P1 will continue. So here 0 to 1, if I will talk about the 0 to 1, so 0 to 1, there was no work. Actually, it was an idle period because it arrived at first. If someone will say that, make for starting from 0 to 1, what happens? It will be idle. So CPU is not doing anything because no one has arrived yet. Okay, so from starting from the first millisecond, P1 has arrived. So it will continue for, it wants to continue for the 20 millisecond, but it will get only 2 millisecond because at time 3, P2 has arrived, which has 10 millisecond of the watch time, which is lesser than 18 millisecond. 2 millisecond already completed by the P1. So definitely P2 is going to take the CPU. And again at the time 7, okay, it has continued from 3 to 7, 4 millisecond. So it is 6 millisecond now. So again 7th, the decision will be taken. And what decision has been taken? P2 should continue. Why? Because contender is what? Who is contender? P1 is not contender now because P1 has already contended and it has lost. Okay, so definitely there is no need to again compare with P1 because it has already lost. So P1, P2 is continuing. So definitely P2 will win always from P1. So only matter is to check with the P3. So P3 is also losing here because it has 30 units of time. So P2 will continue. So P2 is continuing from 3 to 13. After that, P1 is winning here because it has lesser burst time than the P3. So P1 will continue here. So after that, P3 will continue at last. Okay. So this is the one context switch from P1 to P2, again P2 to P1, again P1 to P3. Okay. Any doubt in this question? Anyone? Anyone any doubt?
Sir,
Now tell me.
sir, from a process running state to the CPU's idle state, like if there is a in the Gantt chart, if there is some gap between two processes, like say after execution of P1, there is some time before P2 comes. So from P1 to idle state, is that considered as context switch or only between two processes?
So P1 to if P1 after P1 if idle is there, so that means P1 has that process has completed already. There will be no any process in the ready queue. This I am telling from my concept that can be actually that we can check also, recheck again. But as per the concept, if P1 is running and something is idle is there, that means that there is nothing in the ready queue. It is like again the things are starting from like Gantt chart. We are making Gantt chart fully, but it is like that there is only one process which is not arrived yet, but it is arriving after some time. It will continue. It is like again I am starting from 0th. Getting my point? Why it is idle? Even though processes are there, why it is idle? Maybe it is idle because it went for the input output. Maybe it went for the input output. CPU is idle at that time. Getting the point? It can be idle as because it completed its burst time, or it went for the input, doing the input output. So in that case, when it is going for the input output, already that context we have to actually that we have to consider it is a context because it has to save its context actually, because it is going for the, again it will come in the ready queue. So it has to be considered actually. Depends on the cases. If it has completed its burst time, so there is no need to record its state actually, because it is already terminated. No need to record.
Okay,
So there it should not be considered.
But sir, in Gantt chart only, like the burst time includes all the like we don't consider IO event, no sir. Basically, in
here in burst time, we did not consider it. It said that it includes. See, if it is not mentioned, then that is why now we are not going for input output. We are already everything we are giving for the CPU only. We are not going for input output. So this, if you are not going for input output, our case is very simple. That means if it is something is idle, definitely it has completed all its work. It is not in the input output even. It has completed. If it has completed, then there is no switch because a new process has arrived, and so it is like again in the case like here, P1 is running. So this case they have not considered. From ready queue beginning thing you don't consider. See, that will be like a similar case if you consider, because no one is there. It is like that process arrived and it is running.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So basically, sir, when we have a process running and when it terminates and there is idle state, then we will not consider that as a context switch.
I'm saying from my perspective that I will recheck again. Okay.
Okay, sir.
But as for my concept, it should not be considered because there is no swapping involved here. Contexts are not being swapped. Okay.
Okay, sir.
If I have terminated, then everything associated with me is released actually. Whatever resource has been blocked by me, it will be released. Okay. If it is released, then there is no point to maintain my state actually. Because I have terminated, I have done what I have to do. Okay. Any other doubt? Any other doubt? Okay. So this was the question number 3. We are moving to the question number 4. So here, an operating system uses again SRTF. Consider the arrival time and the execution time of the following processes. So I will not give question number 4 now because many SRTF is questions came. So we are moving to the another question. Let's see what is there. So this question is like a uniprocessor.
Question number 4 we can try later.
No, I will again ask if time permits. Then I will ask. Okay. Otherwise, I will share anyway. I will share these slides with you.
Okay.
Okay. So if time permits, then we can solve this question. Don't worry about that. A uniprocessor computer system. So all these questions, whatever we are solving till now is uniprocessors only. Okay. So it is not like that a new term has been introduced here. Everything we are processor computer only. Okay. At one time, only one process will run. Computer system only has 2 processes. Okay, it has only 2 processes. It has given that both of which alternate 10 milliseconds of the CPU burst with 90 millisecond input output burst. Okay, 10 millisecond it will come, and after that 90 millisecond it will go for the input output. Both the processes are created at nearly the same time. Okay, same time both have arrived. The input output of both processes can proceed in the parallel. Input output can be done in the parallel. So there is no restriction in the input output that only one process can do in the input output, other will be in the block. So it is not like a in the uniprocessor system only one process will run. So there are many resources for doing input output. Parallelly, multiple processes can do the input output. There is no restriction on that. Okay. So find out the CPU utilization over a long period of time, means considering the processes running in this alternative way, doing the 10 millisecond CPU and 90 millisecond input output. So considering this fact, so they are running over long period of time. So for this system, so you have to find out the CPU utilization, how much, what is the CPU utilization actually percentage. So when we are using the FCFS and when we are using the SGF. So compare both.
Sir, 20% in case of FCFS.
20% for both cases.
क्या बोलो?
The 20% for FCFS.
0.2.
For AGF?
Also 20%.
Yes, sir. 20%.
Both 20%.
Yes, sir.
So from 0 to 10, process 1, 10 to 20, process 2, from 100 to again 110, process 1, from 110 to 120, process 2. Because the first process will come at, it has gone for doing the input output at 10th. So at 100 millisecond it will complete. So it will again come to doing the CPU. So in every 100 millisecond, if I will see, then CPU is utilized only for 20 milliseconds. So the CPU utilization is 20%. So if I will talk about the, it was round robin or it was asked HGF. Okay, it was HGF. HGF will be same, but if you compute for the round robin, I think here round robin I have given the answer. If you compute for the round robin, you will get 19.05. So you can compute for the, you can calculate for the round robin also. Here in the question HGF has been asked, so HGF I think it will be same because nothing is mentioned here. Like 10 millisecond, if it will go, then the same thing will be made for the HGF also. Same thing will be made. Okay, there will be no change because HGF concept is here similar. Only two processes are there. Okay. So after that round robin, if you will go for the time quantum given 5 millisecond, then we can see that some little bit improvement we are getting 19.05 utilization. Okay. So depends on that question can be asked that utilization depends on the different algorithm. Okay. Solve this round robin. Time quantum is given 2 millisecond. So P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, it will take some time. So take some time. Take, let's say, more than 10 minutes. Time quantum is given 2 millisecond. Arrival time is given, burst time is given. 6 processes are there. First make the Gantt chart according to round robin. Gantt chart is important here. If you make the Gantt chart, everything can be answered. So make the Gantt chart first, but find out the average waiting time.
12.5 is average waiting time.
Okay. Class. So everyone, is it done?
Sir, 1 minute.
Okay. Take 5 minutes. So here,
Hello everyone. Nobody should leave without, before completing the attendance. Okay, you'll have to take the attendance at the end. Don't leave the meeting.
look at the guy. Huh?
I'm getting 11.66.
So everyone is getting 11.66. Someone was saying that 10 point something.
12.5, sir.
See, different answers are coming. See, the concept here is what? Earlier we did not, if you will not maintain the ready queue also, then you will be able to solve it. But here, if you will not maintain a ready queue explicitly while solving the question, so definitely you will do wrong. Because all the processes are not arrived at the same time. Okay. So arrival time is different. If everyone will arrive at 0, so what round robin will do? So simply you have to do what? Just switching between the process for the time quantum. Okay, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6. Again P3, P4, P5, P6. It will be repeated till the their burst time ends. Okay. But here the arrival times are different actually. So we have to maintain a ready queue. If you will not maintain the ready queue, definitely, because if you that ordering is important, that maybe after P1, P2, maybe again P2 will come, P3 will not come. So how I will get to know that if you will not maintain the ready queue? Okay. So here ready queue has some importance actually. So see the Gantt chart, how it will move. Hello. Okay, let's check the Gantt chart first. So here P1 arrived at 0 milliseconds, so definitely so it is going to execute till the minimum of what? Minimum of what? TQ comma burst time. So here 2 millisecond it is going to execute. So 2 millisecond no one is going to disturb. So by the time at 1 millisecond, who has arrived? Who has arrived? P2 has arrived. So at the time 0, if I will say that at the 0th millisecond, what is the status of the ready queue? So we say that only P1 is there in the ready queue. Only P1 is the ready in the ready queue. So P1 will be scheduled, okay, for 2 milliseconds. See, after the completion of 2 milliseconds, what is the status? Or after completion of 1 millisecond, what is the status? Who is in the ready queue? Only P2 is in the ready queue. So what is happening here when P1 is completed? Let's say P1 is completed, 0 to 2. Again 2 to 4, who will come? P2 will come, because by the time P2 is in the ready queue. After that, at 3rd millisecond, if you'll see it carefully, at 3rd millisecond, at 2 millisecond, at 2 millisecond, P1 has actually completed, and P3 has arrived. So both is actually going in the ready queue. Both are the contender for the ready queue actually, because P1 will also go in the ready queue. P3 is also coming in, but the transition of P1 and P3 is different. What is the transition of P1? Transition of P1 is what? C. Transition of P1 is C. If I will talk about our earlier question, transition of P1 is what? C, and transition of P3 is what? A. I am comparing with here. Transition of P3 is what? Transition of P0 is C and P3 is A. Is it clear? So this C takes some time, because C involves what? C involves what? Context switching. So both is occurring at 2nd millisecond, but process P2 will arrive in the ready queue earlier than this P0 if you maintain the ready queue. So here at 4 to 6, who is running? P3 is running. Okay, from here P3 is running, and because at 2nd millisecond it has already completed. But see here, after P3, P4 will not come. It is not like that after P3, P4 will come. Already, when P4 was not there in the ready queue, when P4 was not in the ready queue, already P0 has come in the ready queue. P2 has come in the ready queue at 3rd millisecond. If you will not maintain the ready queue, if you will not maintain the C, P1, P2, P3, again P1 is in the ready queue. After that, P4 came here in the ready queue. Okay, so P4 is what? P4 is coming at the 4th. By the time P2 is running, P4 came at 3. Okay, P4 came at 3. P5 came at 4. So at 4th millisecond, if I will talk about, so after P5, P2 will be there. So after P5, P2 will be there. So that ready queue should be maintained. Otherwise, definitely after some time we cannot maintain actually. Then also it will work. When everything will arrive and one order will be maintained, then you can go with that. But in the beginning, definitely you have to maintain the ready queue. Otherwise, you cannot. If more processes are given, if suppose I will give 10 processes, so you will forget that which processes arrive at what time, which has. So everything you will forget. So try to maintain the ready queue. There is no, if you will not maintain the ready queue in another question, there will be no problem. But here, if you will not maintain, definitely you will come up with the wrong Gantt chart. That is for sure. So that is why you people are getting different answer. Like one is saying that 11.6, someone is saying that 12.5. So Gantt chart.
It is like suppose first of all P1 arrives, it adds in the ready queue, and when it executes, P1 is removed from the ready queue. It is in the running state, and at the same time P2, P3 go on coming, and when P4 is not arrived, then P1 will when P1 will context switch via C, it will add to the tail of the queue.
See here what is happening. I will again come to your question. Here what is happening in other scheduling, what is happening? In other scheduling, when someone is, if I am talking about only preemptive scheduling, if some process is arriving, so actually it is being checked by the system at that time. It is being checked internally whether that arrived process will go, depends on the priority. If it is priority scheduling, depends on the shortest job first, if it is shortest job first. So there is checking there internally who is going to be scheduled. But here it is not, no need to check actually, because it is going to run for this time quantum, and it will be checked after the completion of the time quantum. What is the status? So ready queue will be checked after the completion of time quantum. By the time many processes can come here, and if any process terminates, then it will go out from there. Tell me your question.
Got it, sir. I had written P1, P2, P3, P4, P5.
That is why this question has been asked. If you will go in this sequence P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, P1, P2, P3, P4, P5, P6, definitely it is wrong. And if you solve many round robin questions from the good competitive examination like GATE and ISRO and all these things, so definitely you will get a questions like that which has a different arrival time. If different arrival time will be there, definitely you have to maintain a ready queue. Otherwise, I'm saying that 100% will do wrong thing. If you are very smart or intelligent that you can do all these things in the air, that calculation you have to do in the air anyway. So if you are smart enough that you can do in the air by maintaining the sequence, all these things, and you can recall that, okay, you can do the correct without writing anything on the pen and paper. But I prefer to do on the pen and paper because correctness is the main thing. Okay, we should do the correct first. We should not be fast here because time is enough. Maintain a ready queue and go with the concept, what it is saying that. But here the only I said that confusion will come that at second millisecond, what will happen? Who will come in the ready queue? Because P1 has also completed its 2 millisecond. So actually, basically, P1 is also available to go in the ready queue, and P3 is also available to go in the ready queue. But both have different transitions. Okay, so that is why here some doubt can come actually. What will happen? Who will go in the ready queue first? That is why I said that P3 will come first because P3 is created and it is. P1 has some formalities to do that. You can relate everything with the common sense. Okay, P1 has some formalities because it is a running process and it has like if I am checking to some hotel in some room. So if I am leaving the hotel, if I am coming the hotel, who can come fast? Those who are checking, they can come fast because they have already packed luggage, they have packed from their home. That time we are not considering all these things. Just they can come with luggage, they can say, okay, give me key, I will go inside. But the process who is checking out, it will take some time because he has to pay the bill, he has to pack his things, he has to check multiple times that some my belongings are left in the room or not. So it will definitely take some time. So likewise here it is happening with the P1. P1 is already in running. So P1 has to save its data. P1 has to save its program counter. Means process table has to be actually swapped. So it will take some time. Maybe it is in nanosecond or whatever. But definitely P3 is going to win, and P3 will come faster in the ready queue than the P1, even though both are happening at the same time. Getting the point? Getting the point or not? If that class will happen, then in that case, we have to give priority to the newer process, those who are coming in newly created process. And after that, everything is clear to you that at what time we have to. At 1 millisecond it had arrived and P1 is in the ready queue. There is no any doubt because P1 is anyway going to complete at 2 milliseconds. Okay, any doubt in this? Please maintain the ready queue, otherwise definitely different answer will come. Any doubt in this? And there is no need to maintain the ready queue till last. After some times you will have an idea that okay, a ordering has been maintained now. You will get one order. After that, after certain time, after I will say that after 5 milliseconds or after 8 or 9 milliseconds, the things will be stable actually. After that, you can do the calculation fast. You can preempt the process in the order. Okay, P1, P2, P3, P4, or maybe in which order the processes are in the ready queue. You can preempt and you can keep it back in the ready queue again. Any doubt, anyone? Because your doubt will come. That is why I'm asking again and again. Any doubt?
Okay.
Okay, so here I did not calculate the average waiting time, so you can calculate according to the. So here my motive was to only tell the how to make the Gantt chart. Okay, but I know that many of you will do wrong. That is why I'm explaining it again and again. If you have done it correct, there is no any problem. Those who have not, but majority of you will not do. That is known fact. Even when I studied the round robin, I did this thing wrong. But later I realized that okay, that has to be maintained, because earlier we did not maintain any ready queue. If you'll see that many questions you have solved without using the ready queue. Definitely ready queue is there in any algorithm. Ready queue is there, but we don't maintain and we solve it with 100% correctness. Okay, but here we have to maintain, otherwise the things will go in wrong direction. Okay, again. So here in the round robin, see, it is a simple round robin, I will say that, because everyone arrived at the time 0. If time 0 it had arrived, nothing is simpler than this. Okay, just maintain the sequence and follow this. Solve it. So here 4 processes are being given with the burst time what 4, 3, 2, 1, and every processes are arrived at time 0. So time slice is given 2 milliseconds. So we have to calculate the average waiting time.
Hello, sir.
Bolo.
Sir, in round robin, what if two processes have same arrival time, sir? So to which process we should give highest priority?
Here, if two processes come at same time, so there they will write in the question that you can take as per if in the ordering like P1, P2 is there, so you take P1. If some tie is there, like what is the tie breaking rule? If we talk about the IIT, if you are going for the admission, if both have same rank, so both have there are some tie breaking rule that will see the age, we'll see the 10th class percentage, many things are there. So here also some tie breaking rules can be mentioned. So you can see that in some algorithms, so that tie has been breaked according to the FCFF scheduling, many cases, first come first serve. But here in our case, it is both came at the same time. So here we can say that if P1 is there, P2 is there, so you consider P1, P2 in order. P1, P2, P3 in order you can calculate. Getting the point, but it is saying that it is our convention. It is not that you have to include in your algorithm actually. When you implement it, maintain that. Here verbally I am saying that, but P1, P2, there should be some mechanism to break the tie. If P1, P2 both are arriving at the same time, so it will go in the order P1, P2, P3, P4. Some order is there. That is why P1, P2, P3, P4. So here like 0. And everyone arrived at 0. This question can come at everyone arrived at 0 time. So what will happen? Who should be given the CPU first? So we are giving here P1. Why? Because we have to maintain the order P1, P2, P3, P4. So order should be maintained. Okay, but it can be P4, P3, P2, P1. Anything can happen. General convention is P1, P2, P3, P4. Depends on your implementation. Getting the point? It is not like that both are arriving at 2 milliseconds. It is same as both all are arriving at time 0. We can say or not?
Yes, sir.
5.5.
Yes, sir.
Now this is the simple one.
5.5.
6 milliseconds.
Here also different tensors are coming. At least here incremented while giving the answer. Actually, it is simplest one. You will not get simpler than this. So here I am not giving too much time because it is the simple one. So see the Gantt chart. It will look like this. First P1, then P2, then P3, P4, P1, P2. Again P2 is repeated, P3 is repeated, P4 is not repeated because P4 is only 1 millisecond burst time. So see 0 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 6, 6 to 7, again 7 to 9, 9 to 10. Okay. So P3 is not repeating, P4 is not repeating, P2 is repeating only for 1 millisecond, and P1 will repeat for 2 milliseconds. It's okay. So P1 waiting time is what? 0. Again P1 started at 7, completed at 2, that is 7 minus 2, that is 5. 0 plus 5, 5. If I will talk about the waiting time for P2, it is second millisecond it has started at 2 millisecond. So again it has started at 9. Okay, so it is 7 millisecond waiting time for P2. Waiting time for P3 is nothing but here 4. So 4 millisecond because it arrived at 0. So 4 millisecond plus P3 did not come again because it has completed its burst. So after that P4 if we'll talk about, so P4 6 and P4 did not come again. So 6 and the initial arrival time is 0. So 6 is the waiting time. 5 plus 7, 12, 12 plus 4, 16, 16 plus 6, 22 divided by 4. 5.5 millisecond we will get. Any doubt in this? Any doubt? Solve this one. Activities. So here FCFS is there with the burst time is given that 10,385. So all processes arrived at 0. So basically it will be P1, P2, P3, P4. But as I said earlier that it can be any order. It can be P4, P3, P2, P1. It can be anything, depends on our implementation actually. So basically it should be P1, P2, P3, P4. But here they have given that you have, if ordering is changed, that P1, P2, P3, P4, P2, P3, P4, P1, P4, P3, P2, P1, and 4 orders are given. You can see that. So out of which order is giving the minimum average waiting time that we have to calculate. So the scheduling algorithm is FCFS. FCFS is preemptive or non-preemptive?
Non-preemptive.
Non-preemptive.
Order 4, sir.
Okay. So if we'll make the order, so first order is Gantt chart is this one. Average waiting time will come 11. So if we'll make with 7.5, 8.5, and 7.25. Okay. So the minimum will come from the order number 4. Any doubt in this? I think there
Can
should
you
not
show
be any.
previous slide? Okay. Sir.
Solve this. Consider the following table for priority. It is priority. There are two versions. One is preemptive, one is non-preemptive. It is if the highest integer is highest priority, then completion time of the process P6 is when process P6 will complete. So priority is already given for every processes. Arrival time is given, burst time is given. So tell me at what time P6 will complete its job. So priority has two versions. One is non-preemptive, one is preemptive. So what is difference between if all process will arrive at 0? So here if I see this table, then what is difference between FCFS and this priority? What is difference? So earlier we have made the order, okay. Even though it was non-preemptive FCFS, and one more thing was there, everyone came on the same time. Let's say here also everyone is coming on the same time. Let's say arrival time of all the processes are 0. So there is a difference in the terms of that their ordering is fixed, that P1, P2, P3, P4. But here it can be changed, and who will trigger that? Priority vector will trigger that. Okay, so here 4, 5, 6, 8, 2, 12, whatever priority we have assigned. So according ordering can be changed. So that is the one difference that can we can see. So as we have seen that here, the order number 4 has given the even though all the ordering has followed the same thing, that is FCFS, but we got the minimum in the order number 4. So that can be actually implemented through the this priority one. That can be implemented easily. Who will go, in which order it will go. So ordering can be maintained through the priority, even though it is non-preemptive. Getting the point or not? Hello?
Sir,
Okay, so
basically you are
with
saying that
priority, we can switch.
Hello,
the
am I
process.
audible? What?
So with priority, we can switch the process. Like if it is running, then we can remove it.
No, switching will be done if it is preemptive. If it is non-preemptive, even though someone is arriving, see what is difference. At the time of arrival only, it will be decided that whether the process which is continue, it will continue or it will go in the ready queue or it will be terminated if it completes. If some process is arriving, in this case, it doesn't depend on non-preemptive scheduling. It doesn't depend on the arrival time. Okay, it depends on the process which went at what time it will complete. So it was written in the first question. See, this is the concept. That is why it is written or. Scheduling is carried out only at arrival or completion of the process. If scheduling is carried out at arrival, that means it is what? It is preemptive scheduling. Because the case where we are deciding who is going to execute next, when we have to see the at what time the processes has arrived. So it is actually arrival based scheduling. So all the preemptive, if you see, it is arrival based only, other than round robin. Round robin is time based. Other than everything is on the arrival, we have to check actually. It should be triggered, it should be interrupted actually, basically. And who is going to, maybe that process who is running, it will not run. By luck it will get chance, but it may not get that. The process will arrive, that process will get the chance. So one thing can be decided at the arrival of any process, and another flavor it can be decided after the completion of the process. So when I am deciding after the completion of the process, all these things will come under the non-preemptive version, because I got the chance, so I will complete. If I will not complete, there is nothing going to be happen, because it is non-preemptive. I got the chance, I will complete. At my completion time, again scheduling will trigger, and it will check that which scheduling algorithm I am actually using. It is FCFS or it is any other non-preemptive version. So it will act accordingly. Who will go next, and the next who will go in the next in the CPU. Again, it will run for its all burst time, because it will enjoy there. Again, it will come from there. Getting the point or not? That is why it is written or. Scheduling is carried out only at arrival or completion of the process. So in this case, in the non-preemptive version, only completion of the process matters more, but in the preemptive version, both matters. Where arrival matters more actually, because at every arrival we have to check. Getting the point?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So 15 millisecond is completion of P6.
Now 13 millisecond. So here in this case, it is non-preemptive means what? Just priority is deciding here the order. Nothing. We can compare with this FCFS, this question. This question we can compare. There is no difference between this question and the priority question. But here we have actually in the Gantt chart we have scheduled what? Even though all have arrived at 0 time, there also all can arrive at the 0 time. But here it is known fact that we have to execute P1, P3. People have said that, okay, go in the order, P1, P2, P3, P4. But here the ordering can be different as per this table, Okay, but here it can be different as per the arrival time also. Even though my priority is higher, and if I did not arrive, that means what? Other will get the chance. It is not like that CPU is going to wait that, okay, some another process will come who has the higher priority. I'm waiting for that. It cannot be like that. Everything is like common sense. Okay, even though my priority is higher, if I did not come on the time and other process is there, definitely it is going to continue the CPU time. Even though suppose let's say if Prime Minister came late, if I'm using the non-preemptive version, if I am a simple common man, then if I am executing somewhere, then I will definitely execute. PM has to wait. But in the preemptive version, even though I am a common man, I am running there, I can be forcefully evacuated from there, and PM will get the chance because it has the higher priority. That is the only difference. Okay. So P6, at what time P6 will complete?
15.
15.
15.
Everyone 15.
15, sir.
So P6 will complete at 15. Any doubt? Any doubt in that? See, ordering is what? P1, P4, P6, P3, P2, P5. Okay. Once P1 will get chance, it has completed all its burst time. When P4 will get chance, same question if I will ask that, solve according to the preemptive version. Solve, make the Gantt chart according to the preemptive version.
10, sir.
10. See, P6 has higher priority here. If P6 will arrive at 5, so first P1 will get the chance. It will run for 4 times. It will run for 4. After that, who will get the chance?
So you said preemptive.
The preemptive at arrival time 1, who will get the chance? P2 will get the chance. P2 will get now because only 2 processes are there and priority of P2 is higher. So it will run only 1 millisecond. It will run only 1 millisecond. P1 will. So P2 will get the chance. So at arrival time 2, what will happen? Again, P3 will get the chance because P3 has higher priority. Again, P4 is again P3 is running. At time 3, P4 arrived. So P4 will get chance because P4 has higher priority. When P4 is running at 4, P5 arrived. So what will happen? So P4 will continue to run because why? It has lower priority. P4 has higher priority. P4 will continue, but it will here checked at arrival time 4th. At 4th millisecond, it will checked once, but here P3 is winning. P4 is winning here. P4 will continue. Again at arrival time 5th, process P6 arrive. At this time, it will be checked. So P6 has higher priority. So P4 has to come out and P6 will get chance. So here what is happening? P6 will continue till its execution. It will all its birth time because it is the highest priority. So in this case, what happened? Everyone has completed one millisecond. It has completed. It has completed 1 millisecond. It has completed 1 millisecond. It has completed 2 millisecond. It has completed 0 millisecond. It has completed how many? It will complete all because it has the highest priority. In earlier case, what will happen? What happened actually in earlier case? P1 and P4 completed all its actually burst time. Okay. So there is some problem in the preemptive version of the priority. That is, if one process has a priority, then the process who has the lower priority, they will actually suffer. Actually, they will not get chance. Suppose I came much earlier for anything, and people who are coming again and again for the higher priority processes are coming again and again. So that lower priority process will not get chance, even though it arrived in the earlier stage only. So actually, it is increasing the waiting time of that process actually because it is going to contribute in the average waiting time of the system. So average waiting time of one process is increasing. That is actually increasing the overall average waiting time. Is it or not? So actually, and that problem is that if I will talk about in the common sense, that it is like a common man. So it is frustrating for that people that he may say that I am waiting after certain time he may shout that what is happening. I came earlier and I'm not getting the chance. So in order to remove the this problem, that if system is also implemented as per that, if in order to remove this problem, that if some process is suffering that, then system can actually dynamically increase the priority of that lowest process so that it can get the chance to run in the CPU, because anyway it has lower priority, then it will not get chance actually, because maybe higher processes are coming. So to in order to execute that process, the priority has to be increased, then only it can go. So who can do that? That system can do that. So this is known as actually aging. If you read it, what is aging? Aging is called dynamically increasing the priority of any process actually. Yeah, that system can do it. Okay. So then the problem of starvation and average waiting time can be actually minimized by doing that. Getting the point?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Chandra, give me a minute to update the attendance. Just give me a minute. So I can see Bharat Mishra is not present today. Bharat Mishra is absent today. Roll number 4. If somebody is missing these tutorial classes, then very pathetic actually, because we are discussing in details all these things, and you are missing these classes. And another person is Kishore Kumar. He is also absent. Kishore Kumar, roll number 57, absent. Yeah, apart from these two, all are present. That's good. So once again repeating, Bharat Mishra and Kishore Kumar. Okay, I am submitting this attendance. You guys carry on. Very less time is left though. Okay, Chandra, you can carry on.
Okay. Okay, I'm searching for some small problem. Okay, solve. Only solve. So everyone has solved this one. That solve this one. Average waiting time you find for this one only. This one you solve. That preemptive version, average waiting time for this question. Preemptive version, average waiting time. Find out the average waiting time for preemptive version. This is the last question for today. Done. So compare the average waiting time with the non-preemptive to preemptive. Non-preemptive you can calculate from here. From this Gantt chart you can calculate what is the average waiting time. So you can calculate if you are, you can take this. So compare the average waiting time from both preemptive and non-preemptive variant. If any doubt comes, you can ask anytime. So you can ping me over MS Team. I will share this slide with you. Anyone who has done?
So 15.16.
With non-preemptive or preemptive?
So preemptive.
15.16.
Yes, sir.
Anyone 15.16? Actually, I did not calculate with the preemptive one, so I will. I have to sort to make sure that whether you are correct or not. So if many people will get the 15.16, so maybe there is a chance that it will be correct. So anyone who is getting 15.
For preemptive, you are asking average waiting time.
Average waiting time for preemptive one.
So 13.83.
See, different answers are coming. 13.83. Check again. 14.16. You also check your calculation. Or you can share your snaps, whatever you have made. So snapshot you can share. Take a snap and share here. I can check it and I can tell that whether you are correct or wrong. Okay.
Sir, non-preemptive 13.33.
Non-preemptive you can calculate from here. P1, no any waiting time. P4 waiting time is what? 4 minus 3, 1. P6 waiting time is what? 10 minus 5, 5. 5 plus 1, 6, total 6. Likewise, you can calculate from this Gantt chart. So anyone can confirm that whether the calculation is correct or not. Non-preemptive Gantt chart
10.83.
10.83.
Yes, sir, for non-pre.
See the person who has calculated 13.83. Check again with this Gantt chart.
That was for preemptive.
Preemptive. Okay. Okay, then I will share this answer. Okay, I have not made this. So we can stop here. Any doubt is there till now? Any doubt is there? Okay. So I am ending the meeting.
Please upload the slides.
What?
Please upload the slides, sir.
I will upload.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.